A Stuart beam engine bought online, Part 2, commencing disassembly. There are some simple methods that you can use to disguise mechanical noise. The best way to do the job is to fix the cause of the knocking, and in this case the reasons seem fairly obvious. I need to strip the engine down to the main components and repair the individual problem areas. And if you missed part 1, this is the reason I'm dismantling the engine. Where's the knocking coming from? Well, just about everywhere. There are some bodgers that you can use to silence noisy engines, this being one of them. Wind some cotton around the parts that are knocking. In this example, I'm winding a piece of cotton around the crank pin. You may be wondering why I'm using a hole punch to cut the piece of cotton. The reason for this was it was on the bench right next to where I was working. I think using the cotton on the crank pin is quite a good idea. Even if the engine isn't knocking, it's still a good idea because the cotton will soak up oil and act as a wick to lubricate the crank pin. If I was doing this properly though, I would tie a knot in the cotton. In this case, it's fairly ineffective at stopping the knocking. It stops a tiny little bit of it. I suppose the engine's fractionally quieter. It's still horrendous. The knocking is coming from the crank pin, it's coming from the beam, and it's also possibly coming from the Watt's parallel motion. And that's without mentioning the bendy crankshaft, which is a very strange concept. If you only intend to run the engine extremely slowly, then the cotton idea is possibly going to be quite successful, but it's no good when the engine is revving high. Some viewers may be thinking, beam engines don't run fast anyway. Well, small ones generally do. But that's not the point. A successful model, built to a good standard, should not knock at any part of the rev spectrum. What I'm doing here, and it's difficult because of the little grub screws that are in there, is resetting the valve timing to make the steam or air admit early. The theory behind this is this will cushion the reciprocating motion. And as you can clearly hear, the engine is making a different noise, but it's still knocking. In this clip, I'm checking the valve linkages. These are okay, they were repaired by the owner of the engine. Unfortunately, using really shiny, bright grub screws, I tend to use black ones, they blend into the background better. I would suggest that once he gets the engine back, to make it look fractionally better, it would be a good idea to paint the grub screws matte black. As you can clearly hear, at a higher speed, the knocking returns with a vengeance, but it's okay when it's running very slowly. I don't think okay is the right word. Sound test. Yes, the sound is definitely on. Testing, 1, 2, 3, no knocking, totally silent. But the engine's still not right. That was of course my voice when I was speaking directly to the camera during the filming. This silent running was brought about by very carefully adjusting the air supply so that it only just turned over. Oh yes, and I forgot, I did adjust the timing again. That's enough messing about, it's time to take it apart. In this clip you will notice a piece of cotton that I also fitted to this part of the engine. And even though I tied a knot in this piece of cotton, it didn't stop the knocking. The problems with this engine are many and varied. This is wrong. Totally wrong. The crank web is supposed to be secured to the crankshaft using a taper pin, and not by using a very small machine screw which is seated in a detent on the end of the crankshaft. This is no good at all. I really have come across a lot of knocking beam engines where the sole cause has been a loose crank web. This part of the beam engine is a very highly stressed component, and it's just no good having a small machine screw securing it to the crankshaft. Having removed the connecting rod, it's now time to move to the other side and also remove the Watt's parallel motion. This keeps the piston rod perfectly in line as the beam describes an arc. Be careful when you dismantle these parts because behind each of the links is a thick washer like this. It's a bush really. These bushes are very easily dropped on the floor where you may never find them again. What I'm doing here is checking the fit of the pin in the end of the beam, and as you can see it's quite sloppy. This of course could also add to the knocking effect. Here's another bush from the other side of the front part of the motion. Now the Watts parallel motion is out of the way, I can remove the beam. This should be quite a simple job. All I have to do is remove the bearing top caps and lift off the beam, remembering to put the bearing top caps back in the same way that they were before I took them off. By immediately loosely bolting the top caps back in position, make sure that they are in their respective correct places. I notice that the edge of one of the long bolts is damaged. I can't think how this must have happened. It is, however, the only damage I can actually see on the engine, apart from the wear damage. The last thing I'm going to remove in this episode is the pulley on the crankshaft at the flywheel side. This is a good fit and all it needs is a clean. I almost forgot. I need to remove the small screw. Personally, I never use these because they break far too easily. I generally rethread the part 6BA and use Allen head grub screws. And definitely not one of these. That's it for this episode. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.